Hello and welcome to Movie News Monday, where we talk about movie news from the previous week and we discuss things. The weekend of January 25th to the 27th, box office wise, looks like it's going to be going back to Glass. Glass is still the number one selling movie this past weekend. The Upside is still gaining some ground with apparently The Kid Who Would Be King still in, fourth place, which is very, very odd considering that this is a very good family film, I guess. But considering it is in January, I don't think anyone's going to be wanting to watch it. But yeah, this is the box office for the past weekend. Not bad, honestly. But certainly this whole thing is going to be shaped up once the Lego Movie 2 and How to Train Your Dragon 3 hit the market. So let's get on to our first news story of the past week, and that is Bill Maher targets Kevin Smith in latest tirade against comic book culture. I've already spoken about this issue once before. This will be the last time I talk about Bill Maher, because the more we feed into the controversy around this, it's just adding more to his ego. But I want to talk about this one in particular, considering the fact that he still thinks that the credentials of being an adult is to not read comic books at all. So this actually comes from his editorial a couple nights ago called "It's Time to Grow Up" or something like that. Tonight's editorial is about Stan Lee, who, if you missed it, died in November. And a few days later, I posted a blog about that in no way was an attack on Mr. Lee, but took the occasion of his death to express my dismay at people who think comic books are literature and superhero movies are great cinema, and who, in general, are stuck in an everlasting childhood. Bragging that you're all about the Marvel Universe is like boasting your mother still pins your mittens on your sleeves. Again, this is really stupid. I think plenty of people have already kind of tuned out Bill Maher, but this is just another stunt for him to become more relevant, become more controversial, and get more clicks. And you know what? In that sense, he wins that, I guess. But let me actually read a quote for you real quick, Bill Maher. This comes from C.S. Lewis. Critics who treat the term adult as a term of approval instead of as a merely descriptive term cannot be adults themselves. To be concerned about being grown up, to admire the grown up because it is a grown up, to blush at the suspicion of being childish, these things are the marks of childhood and adolescence. And in childhood and adolescence they are, in moderation, healthy symptoms. Young things ought to want to grow, but to carry on into middle life or even into early manhood, this concern about being an adult is a mark of really arrested development. When I was 10, I read fairy tales in secret, and would have been ashamed if I had been found doing so. Now that I am 50, I read them openly. When I became a man, I put away childish things, including the fear of childishness and a desire to be very grown up. And I think that quote is very representative of the situation with Bill Maher. What he thinks of being an adult is very childish. Not only is it a form of bullying, but it's purely childish to make fun of other people and to claim that you're an adult because you are a person that criticizes everything. That's being a child. Being a bully is the same as being a child. You're being childish. And that's all I really have to say. I honestly have to say that's my final piece on him. Even if I were to go into more of this, it's just really stupid. And I think they removed the video too. I'm not entirely sure if it's actually still on there. Actually, let's look it up real quick. On my phone here, I'm just gonna look it up. We're gonna see if that Bill Maher video is still there. Bill Maher, Stan Lee. All right. Let's see if it's still on there. Oh no, it's still on there. Um, Apparently, there's still a lot of people that don't like what he said. Um, Again, my thought is, there are definitely people out there who all they think about is comic books and they don't go outside. There are those people, but those are rare, right? There are tons of people out there that operate businesses who work with comic books, who read comic books just off on the side as kind of a hobby thing. It's the same as reading books or watching movies. They're things that can be seen as childish, but guess what? As an adult, we can't lose that sense of being a child, right? We can enjoy things. If we go through life not enjoying anything, what sense of humanity do we really have left? And I think that's one of the main things that Bill Maher just doesn't understand, is this sense that we can enjoy things that others don't like, right? So yeah, that's my final piece on Bill Maher. I'm not going to go into in depth. Kevin Smith actually had a pretty good rebuttal to what he did in that video. I'll even link the video down in the description below that they mention, if you want to have a full clarification of both his segment and even Kevin Smith's comments, because Kevin Smith took to Twitter and actually bashed it. So moving on, we're going to do a different news story, something that's clearly different, and that is not a subscribe. The CW is ordering a series pilot based on the 80s vampire classic The Lost Boys. Now, for me, The Lost Boys is one of my favorite 80s movies. It's saccharine, but it's also fun. It's hilarious at times, but it has some pretty good performances by Kiefer Sutherland and a lot of other different people. You got Corey Feldman in there. Like, there's some pretty good actors in this movie. I'll do a review of it later, maybe this year during Halloween. But I really enjoyed The Lost Boys. So now that we're getting maybe a series off of it, this is going to be very interesting. So we're going to go through this article. The CW ordered a quartet of pilots this week, including 2 spin-offs from the well-known properties Riverdale and Jane the Virgin, and a Nancy Drew-inspired mystery. The fourth, however, happens to be based on the immortal 1987 vampire romp The Lost Boys. Per a report from Deadline, the network had developed a series adaptation of the horror comedy back in 2016-17 development season, courtesy of iZombie scribe Rob Thomas. Obviously, the project didn't get picked up, but the suits at the top remained interested and have been looking to redevelop it. In the meantime, Thomas had been working on Veronica Mars reboot for Hulu, but a new approach from Scandal writer Heather Mitchell pushed it forward. Details are still scarce at the moment, but there is a logline for the upcoming series. Welcome to sunny seaside Santa Carla, home of the beautiful boardwalk, all the cotton candy you can eat, and a secret underworld of vampires. After the sudden death of their father, 2 brothers moved to Santa Clara with their mother, who hopes to start anew in the town where she grew up. But the brothers find themselves drawn deeper and deeper into the seductive world of Santa Carla's eternally beautiful and youthful undead. That kind of sounds like the premise of the original movie. You got a mother and 2 sons who move out to Santa Carla, and they have to stay with their grandfather in that film. Or it could be, maybe the Frog Brothers can get involved. Who knows? But, not a lot is really known about this. It would be pretty interesting to see what they can do. But considering the CW, I doubt that they can actually get to that same level of, 80s cheese. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. There's nothing really much else that we can report on this, but The Lost Boys certainly sounds like a decent idea for a TV show. Probably not on the CW, but for me, it might be something. Next up, we have the Dark Knight director, and the next story we have up is the Dark Knight director Christopher Nolan's next film gets a release date. Something that's very interesting about this story is that Christopher Nolan His new film doesn't have a name. We don't even know anything about it. After lighting up box office, winning awards, and earning critical acclaim, many fans have been eager to learn that Christopher Nolan's next film after Dunkirk would be released, and now we know. Warner Brothers Pictures announced via Variety Nolan's next movie will open in theaters on July 17th, 2020, and that's it. No title, no synopsis, no actors, just a release date. That's very interesting. That's a really interesting move, considering I don't know what kind of strategy they're really going with this. I don't know. There's not much of a story with this one. We do finally have confirmation that he's working on another movie, but I mean that's just all we have. I guess that's the thing. So next story. Roma actor may miss Oscars after being denied a visa. Fuck that. Okay. So if you don't know, Roma is a film done by Alfonso Cuarón and takes place in Mexico. And pretty much everyone in that movie is played by Hispanics and whatnot. And so far, Roma's award season has been a celebration. Alfonso Cuarón's emotional tribute to his childhood has been picking up accolades left and right, and recently led all films, well, tied with The Favorite, for the most Oscar nominations with 10. But the film finally hit its first obstacle on the road to Oscar glory, as a visa issue for one of the film's stars is threatening to be a blemish on the upcoming Academy Awards evening. Mexican actor Jorge Antonio Guerrero says in a new interview with Quen that he has been denied a visa to enter the United States 3 separate times, preventing him from attending any press events on behalf of Roma. Guerrero says plays an important role in the drama. He is Fermin, the man who impregnates Cleo, Oscar nominee Yalitza Aparicio, and then abandons her. Jorge Antonio Guerrero does not know why he keeps getting denied visas to enter the United States. He says he first started trying to obtain a visa early last year, but it wasn't even on behalf of Roma. Initially, it was just for tourism. However, as the film gained popularity, Guerrero said he tried again to gain access, even with the help of Netflix, who wanted him to attend events like the Golden Globes and eventually the Oscars. However, he routinely has been denied. This is not the first time that a talent has been unable to attend the Academy Awards because of travel issues tied to current political climates. In recent years, cinematographer Khalid Khatib wasn't able to witness his documentary The White Helmets win Best Documentary Short last year because of the travel ban that's in place in the United States. Additionally, Iranian director Asghar Farhadi revealed that he would skip the Oscars because of the existing travel bans, and his movie The Salesman went on to win Best Foreign Language Film. Jorge Antonio Guerrero isn't giving up hope. In the Quen interview, he admits that there is a process in place, and with Netflix's assistance, he's still hoping to be at the Oscars to support him in his film. The cheer on his nominated co-stars, including Yalitza Aparicio and Maria de Tavera. Roma could have a very big night on February 24th. Some argue it's the front runner for Best Picture, having picked up 10 total nominations, including Best Picture and Director. Alfonso Cuarón made history with the nominations that he became the first person to receive a director and cinematography nomination, and of course Roma's success continues to be a win for Netflix as the streaming giant makes waves in the awards season. So this is a pretty substantially terrible thing to hear. I really enjoyed Roma. It's a really beautiful piece of cinematic excellence. And for this to happen, it's kind of sad that this is a common thing nowadays, that actors from other countries can't get into the United States because of some stupid political news, and I think that is just terrible. I think it's terrible, and I hope that Jorge gets to be at the Oscars. I think anyone who has worked on any of the films that were nominated should have a chance to sit at the Oscars and root for their film. It's just so bullshit that we live in a society that seems to think that we can just ban people like this, people who have worked hard to try to do all this stuff. And what's even sadder is that, films like Roma on Netflix, they get kind of pushed aside by other companies such as AMC Theaters, which won't be screening Roma alongside the rest of the Best Picture noms. And I think purely this is because it's a Netflix film. That's all it is. It's a Netflix film. They don't want to have Netflix in their thing. So many movie theaters make a point to screen all the Best Picture nominees before the Academy Awards ceremony, but one film is being left off the schedule. AMC Theaters has announced its plan to screen the films that were nominated earlier this week as the nominees for Best Picture, but while 8 films received nominations, only 7 will be in AMC Theaters. Alfonso Cuarón's Roma will not be shown. In a statement via Deadline, AMC explained that the purposes of the screening is for moviegoers to catch up on the films that haven't been shown at AMC Theaters. Throughout the year, they may have been missed. However, Roma never screened in any AMC theaters during its theatrical run and thus won't be included this time around either. Of course, the reason that Roma never screened in the largest theater chain in America is because the film was never really designed for a theatrical screening. It was produced by Netflix for the streaming platform and only saw a limited theatrical run in order to qualify for the Oscars in the first place. It premiered at one theater in New York and one in Los Angeles on November 21st, and saw a handful of additional theaters get added for a couple of weeks before the movie debuted on Netflix December 14th. There's also others that are snubbing Roma from being shown in theaters. Regal and Cinemark theaters have also announced they will be screening all the Best Picture nominees except for that one. So it's really sad. It really is. When you look at Roma was nominated. I don't care if the film was shown on YouTube or even on Pornhub. If a movie is nominated for Best Picture, it should be shown in major cinemas. Because not a lot of people have Netflix accounts. Sure, there are a lot of people that have Netflix accounts, but sometimes there will be people that want to see the movie that don't have Netflix, that want to see it in a theater. And I think a film like that should be shown in theaters. That's just me. There's just a lot of unfair assumptions that, oh yeah, just because it's a Netflix film, we can just shove it aside because it's a Netflix film and everyone can see it on Netflix. Sure, everyone can see it on Netflix, but I think it would be really cool for these theaters to just say, hey, why not show this movie to everyone? I think that's really good. That's what I think. So next up, we have a really good report from last year. Stop that. Okay. Avengers Infinity War and Black Panther helped drive rebound in 2018 U.S. movie ticket sales. Some people have said that blockbusters like Avengers Infinity War and Black Panther serve no purpose. And they don't. They don't serve no purpose. They're good for fans who keep investment, but it keeps film industries alive. And this report right here is really good to show that. After a down year in ticket sales at movie theaters, box office bounced back with huge numbers in 2018 thanks to Marvel Studios films like Black Panther and Avengers Infinity War. According to the National Association of Theater Owners via Variety, movie admissions in the United States rebounded to $1.3 billion, resulting in $11.85 billion spent at the box office in 2018. Patrick Corcoran, the spokesperson of the National Association of Theater Owners, credited the increase in sales to the diverse offering of movies at the box office. When the movies are there, people show up, and when you have a broad range of titles, a broad range of audiences show up, said Corcoran. From top to bottom, Black Panther on down to 4 documentaries bringing in more than $10 million each. You build an audience through lots of different audiences of all size. Excuse me. Black Panther accounted for $700 million, and Avengers Infinity War made up for $678 million at the domestic box office, while fellow Disney titles such as The Incredibles 2 made $608 million. All in all, The House of Mouse dominated movie theaters and helped lead theater owners to a bounce back that year. But ticket sales and revenue aren't the only reason for these movie successes, as The Incredibles 2, Avengers Infinity War, and Black Panther all earned Disney numerous nominations at the Academy Awards. Black Panther itself became the first superhero movie based on a comic book to be nominated for the Best Picture award, among 7 other Oscar nominations. Marvel Studios boss and Black Panther producer Kevin Feige praised the creative minds behind the successful superhero flick, especially director Ryan Coogler, who for bringing a fresh perspective to the genre and putting Marvel Studios in a serious awards contention for the first time ever. You're going to hear me say the name Ryan Coogler constantly on the phone call, Kevin told the New York Times in an interview today. To me, the best thing a producer can do is find a person with something to say, who has a story to tell, and can tell it in a way that the world responds to. And that's what Mr. Coogler has done for us. Marvel's next film on the docket premiere on March 8th will be Captain Marvel. Finally hitting theaters, the ending to the 2-part Thanos saga will hit the following month in Avengers Endgame, premiering on April 26th. So, yeah, again, there's a lot of people out there that make fun of blockbusters, but when it comes to theater owners, when it comes to people who operate in the film industry, these things are effective, right? Sure, it's sad that there is this lack of attention to independent films or foreign films, but I'm a big defender of blockbusters. Are a lot of them stupid? Yes. Yes, they are. They can be. Look at Rampage. Look at Skyscraper. Some of these movies are stupid. Some of these movies are childish or over the top. But guess what? They still bring in the audiences. And for theater owners, that's a good thing. Because it keeps their doors open. Because without theaters, where else would you watch a movie with a group of people? Maybe in the future, you'd have your own screening room and you'd watch movies with your friends and loved ones in your own private theater. Maybe that'll be the future of cinema going. But when it comes to movie blockbusters like the Marvel films, they bring in a whole diverse set of people, bringing in more market dollars. I just wanted to share that story. And we go from something that's triumphant to something that is incredibly downtrodden. As we have in this news article here, the Muppet movie director James Foley has passed away at the age of 82. One of my favorite movies growing up was the original Muppet movie from the 1970s. It's well made, it has very inventive puppeteering, it has a really great story and message about following your dreams, and the dedication that it takes to doing something like that, and not taking shortcuts in that process. So this was January 24th, a couple days ago. Today, Hollywood is mourning the loss of one veteran film and TV director. According to a piece by The Hollywood Reporter, James Foley has passed away at the age of 82. The renowned filmmaker passed away earlier this week on January 22nd at his California home. Cynthia Foley, his wife, told the Palm Springs Desert Sun that the director fell and suffered a heart attack. His wife also said Foley was secretly nursing a lung condition he acquired from his years of smoking. For fans, Foley's name may not be entirely recognizable, but his films are hard to ignore. The creator oversaw projects like the Muppet movie and worked on television projects such as The Monkees. Born in 1936, Foley came from a Hollywood family as he was born to actor William Foley. He appeared on a few programs like Perry Mason and Gunsmoke during his early career, but he came to fame once he took a step behind the camera. In 1966, Foley was tasked with directing The Monkees by producers Bob Rafelson and Bert Schneider. From there, the filmmaker went on to work on episodes of That Girl, Columbo, and several more. Still, fans will know the director for his heartwarming work on The Muppet Movie. Jim Henson approached Frawley to work on the Muppets project back in 1979, and the director said in previous interviews he couldn't pass up the movie. He knew that I had been an actor, and throughout that I was the right combination for the Muppets. He flew me out to London, where they made the Muppet Show. We met and we had an immediate connection, the filmmaker said. With the Muppets still a major franchise, Frawley is part of the reason why the characters have gone on to break the bank in theaters. Now Hollywood is taking time to remember the work Frawley did during his long career, and they are grateful for all the inspiration his legacy has left behind. The Muppet Movie is definitely one of the best family films, and one of the best child films, and purely one of the best Muppet films, and one of the best films of all time. I know, it's a lot of bests, but for me, I really enjoy the Muppets, and I'll probably make a video later on this year, probably in May, for the Muppets, and why I wholeheartedly think that is a really great film. Moving on to another piece of controversy at the Oscars. Mother of murdered child is angry over Oscar nom for short about son's killers. So this is one of those stories that's very divisive, considering the fact that there is this divide between artistic integrity and common decency. And I actually am kind of in the middle on this situation, because on one hand, I think, I honestly think that with his film should stay nominated. But on the other hand, you have these people that are pissed off with it, that you could argue that it would be high time for them to remove it. So let's discuss. James Bulger's mother, Denise Fergus, is disgusted that the Academy chose to nominate Detainment for a short film Oscar. The 30-minute true crime movie is based on police interrogations of Bulger's killers, John Venables and Robert Thompson, who were 10 years old at the time when they murdered the 2-year-old. The Academy chose to nominate the movie for Best Live-Action Short Film, and Fergus is not happy about the situation. Bulger was kidnapped in 1993 from a grocery store by Thompson and Venables, who threw paint in the toddler's eyes, threw stones at him, and then beat him to death with a pipe. Bulger's body was later found discarded near some train tracks. The Academy released the Oscar nominations earlier this week, and Detainment was included after Denise Fergus started a petition to remove the movie from the shortlist. The petition had over 90,000 signatures before the Academy Awards announcement, and as of this writing, there are over 115,000. The petition has gotten widespread coverage since the shortlist was announced. Fergus had this to say about the nomination. I cannot express how disgusted and upset I am at this so-called film that has been made and now nominated for an Oscar. It's one thing making a film like this without contacting or getting permission from James's family, but another to have a child reenact the final hours of James's life before he was brutally murdered, and making myself and my family have to relive this all over again. After everything I have said about this so-called film and asking it to be removed, it's still been nominated for an Oscar, even though 90,000 people have signed a petition which has now been ignored, just like my feelings by the Academy. Detainment director Vincent Lambe did not consult with James Bulger's family while making the movie. He has since apologized, noting that he has enormous sympathy for the Bulger family, going on to say that he is extremely sorry for any upset the film may have caused them. Additionally, the director offered to donate earnings from screenings of the movie to the James Bulger Memorial Trust. Many have noticed that up until a few weeks ago, Lambe was still using a James Bulger hashtag to promote Detainment. Ralph Bulger, James's father, has also been very vocal about his feelings on the film. Bulger believes that Hollywood should hang their heads in shame, noting that the murder of a baby should be off limits. He also has insinuated, along with many others, that the movie offers a sympathetic portrayal of James's killers. Vincent Lambe has argued that the movie is in no way sympathetic to the killers and does not attempt to make excuses for them. Alright, so I'm going to pause that there. There was a movie back a couple years ago. I want to say it's a decade ago. It's called Dear Zachary, Letters from a Father to His Son. This movie is one of the most heartbreaking movies I've ever seen. It spoke about domestic abuse, relationship toxicity, and even the murder of a toddler. In no way in that movie did they make the killer sympathetic. In no way. Now, I understand the feelings and the sentiment that can go with this. On the part of the director, Lambe, his problem was, consultation. You have to consult with the people that you're making a film about. That's just common etiquette and common practice, especially if it's going to be a documentary. If it's going to be a documentary, you have to consult the people you're making the documentary about. Get interviews with them. Make sure you get the whole story correct. That's just how it is. But on the other hand, when it comes to this, murder of a baby as a subject is, I don't think, to be off limits. Yeah, sure, in Halloween, Michael doesn't kill a baby, right? The new Halloween. But there are plenty of films whose babies die. Look at Mother. Baby dies, right? Even Dear Zachary, baby dies. It also just places this really terrible creative limitation, But I can understand it. I'm not into murdering babies either, right? I'm not into that. But I think from an artistic standpoint, I don't think anything is off limits. Is it insensitive? Probably. Right? What Lambe did was disrespectful. I will say that. It was disrespectful for him not to consult the Bulger family at all. But you can make this stuff, these subjects, not palatable, but makeable, I guess. But let's continue on. Robert Thompson and John Venables were both released from prison in 2001 and given new identities. However, Venables returned to prison in 2010 over child pornography offenses, and then was released back in 2013, only to go back to prison for the same charge yet again in 2017. He is still behind bars. We will find out on February 24th if Entertainment wins the best live-action short film Oscar. You could read the Oscar announcements below. You could read the response to the Oscar's announcement below thanks to the Twitter account. I can expect. Okay, so we got all that. So yeah, yeah, that is pretty much that is a story that is a bit tough to swallow. Because again, on one hand, I don't think there is a single subject that can't be made without some form of respect, right? If you just go about willy-nilly about this and just not think about the process of making a film like this, then again, I haven't seen the film. I haven't seen Entertainment. I'll probably try to look it up, see if I can find a screening of it or and then maybe give my thoughts on it to have a follow up on this story. But yeah, this is a very tricky situation. I honestly don't think the Oscars are going to remove it from the list of the nominees. They could, but I don't think they will. I don't think it'll win Best Live Action Short because of this controversy. But there you go. And then one final story before we end this huge, long-ass news story, because we've been going for 35 minutes now, and that is the new Doom movie. We go from something tragic to something less tragic. So we're getting a brand new Doom movie, and it's been delayed to enhance the Hell Sequence CGI. Universal's upcoming film reboot of Doom is being pushed back to the film so that the filmmakers can have more time to enhance the movie's Hell Sequence. Movie adaptations of video games don't have a great track record of pleasing fans, and sadly, 2005's Doom movie fell into that category, despite a solid cast which included Dwayne Johnson, Rosamund Pike, and Karl Urban, and a healthy budget. The movie's poor script, slow pace, and dropping any reference to hell or demons marked it as a major disappointment. Doom failed at the box office, and Johnson himself would later dub the project a stinker while promoting his most recent video game movie, Rampage. The video game series itself remains iconic, with the 2016 reboot receiving great acclaim. It was also discovered last year Universal was working on a movie reboot, which is seemingly aiming at the direct-to-DVD market. Tony Giglio will direct, while Amy Madsen will play the movie's lead character, Joan Dark. The story of the new Doom is still being kept under wraps, though it's known it'll feature hell and famous creatures from the game. Now Dread Central is reporting that the reboot is being pushed back to give the filmmakers more time to refine the VFX for the Hell Sequence. They quote a source close to the production who states the studio is happy with how the project is progressing, and the delay will allow them to use a broader VFX brush to really make Hell awesome. They also say the story of the scene itself isn't changing, but they are enhancing the location, doing some pickup photography that supports the original vision of the scene. Let's see. The report also confirms the movie is aiming for a fall 2019 release. It sounds like Universal likes how the movie is progressing, so if they are pushing it back with the aim of enhancing a key sequence, that can only be a good sign. The new Doom movie is handled by Universal 1440 Entertainment, an arm of the studio that produces straight-to-DVD projects like Cult of Chucky. While it hasn't officially been confirmed the reboot won't get a theatrical release, it appears the plan is to either head to DVD or a streaming platform. That's a bit sad. I think, if the Doom movie looks good, it could, in a sense, come to theaters, but I think that would have been a really cool thing. I would have loved to have seen Doom Guy just go through hell and just kill demons. I mean, granted, I could already do that by going to Steam, purchasing a copy of Doom 2016, and just playing through it, and just beating the ever-loving shit out of demons. But, yeah, so that's the last story. I'll have all the links to the stories down below, including the videos I mentioned earlier in the video. And I want to hear from you guys. What is one thing you could take away from this past news week? And if you have any news ideas for the next video next Monday, definitely link it down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.